The second point here is, in my view, one of the most important. It's staff perception of student motivation and behaviour. Now, these are fundamental, and Bruce talked about it earlier. These are fundamental to the sort of orderly environment, the kind of environment where learning is going to take place. If staff are saying, these kids, we don't think these kids can learn, if staff are saying that the behaviour in this school is challenging, then that's going to be staff time taken on behavioural issues, not staff time taken with teaching and learning. And so all of these schools that we looked at in relation to the low SES high performance had an amazing orderly learning environment, and a consistency and a congruence about those practices. And in fact, for many of these schools, they said it was a first step to get everybody on the same page with those practices operating in a collective way. And when they did it collectively, it made a difference which enhanced their confidence and collective efficacy that they can make a difference. So in a way, it's a kind of a cyclical thing. You make a difference, you improve things, people believe they can do it, you keep improving. There's a reciprocal relationship between the school climate and the staff perception. So if you have a poor climate, the staff are more likely to see students in a lesser light, and that is reciprocal. So these two things work hand in glove. Student perceptions of teaching and learning are key drivers of student well-being. And so how a teacher treats you, the kind of way that teachers listen, and the way in which teachers understand your learning really influence the way you feel about being at school and how you engage with the subject matter of school. So this is a really important thing, but in and of itself, that is not going to be the thing that improves literacy and numeracy. Literacy and numeracy improves by good teaching of literacy and numeracy. History improves by good teaching of history. And so it's that rich content knowledge together with teacher effectiveness that will enhance both well-being and the outcomes of learning. So the point we want to make here in this study is that well-being and learning are separate and distinct outcomes, and they're both very important because they are interlinked. We used to think, and I partly was responsible for some of that thinking with my work at the Centre for Adolescent Health, we used to think that student well-being was the driver of student learning, that if you got well-being up, you'd drive learning. That relationship is not powerful. If you improve well-being, you improve well-being. To improve learning in literacy, you teach literacy well, and you engage the student in that process. And so I think that's a very important message, that they are both important, but they are separate outcomes. And well-being has consequences for health, it has consequences for future pathways, as does learning. So sustained high performance is anchored then in the work that you do in creating the organisational climate in each of your schools. You're familiar with obviously the effective schools model. We have data that will tell you exactly how you're travelling in some of these aspects. And to use these indicators, I think, to really look at your way in which your school is positioned. Now, goal congruence, I've highlighted there as a key one for you, and I want to now have a look at some of the others and ways that you might have a look at your data to see where you're tracking against the kind of conditions that are creating a positive environment for student learning. So we're looking for helicopter views. What do we need to focus on, and how do we create the conditions for this to occur? So let's have a look at one particular school. Most people, when I show them this, go, I wish my school was like that. But I can certainly, and I know that it's hard to see all the labels down the outside, but again, I'm just really trying to go through this as an illustration rather than go into too much detail. So this is the Student Attitude to School Survey. And what we see here in terms of strengths are student connectedness, student motivation, student morale, and classroom behaviour. So we're seeing the students say these things are good about this school. A couple of question marks about safety, but we're looking at strengths here.